Kyle Smith. This week I sat down for a morning meeting with San Diego Fire Engineer Matt Thoma and his wife Jessica. They share what it takes to manage a fire department schedule with running a small business, all while raising their young family. Hope you guys enjoy it.
Hey, Matt and Jessica, welcome to the bullpen. Thanks for meeting me.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, same here, man. I keep getting all these people telling me, hey, you got to have the Thomas on the show. They have a great story, really, really relevant to other first responders, other firefighters that are starting out, making a family, starting out in this environment, in this arena. So I do want to thank you guys up front for sharing your story with us today.
I appreciate it. I guess it's flattering in a way that people were talking about us, but as Jesse and I talked about coming on your podcast, it's funny because it wouldn't be flattering if you knew our process, because our baseline is we're just winging it, but maybe we have some stories along the way that can help other people.
Yeah, no, for sure. Somebody said it's like you just fake it until you make it, and then there you are.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think that's right where we're at. We're constantly faking it till we're making it, and we don't know if we're making it, but our girls are still alive right now and another baby on the way. So here we go.
How has like the pandemic affected things at the Thoma household?
I think that's probably a question more directed at me. Just with the career that they have, your jobs haven't really changed as firefighters, but my life at home has, because our outside world has completely changed. And taking my girls out and having play dates was eliminated months ago. And my kids are 2 and 4. They're like a caged animal trapped in a house. And so it has been very, very challenging not having kind of that outlet and not being able to connect face to face with friends and family, and even something as simple as going to a park with kids. Having that eliminated this year has been so challenging. No school like everyone else. It's been a whirlwind. And then, a lot of my other friends that don't have the fire situation, their husbands or spouses are at home now, and at least they have that partner there with them in the chaos. And for us, nothing's changed. He's still at work, and frankly, during fire season, he's been gone so much more than before anyways. So his world is kind of the same, and at home it's just hold on and try and survive. It's been interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And people that are listening that maybe aren't familiar with the fire department or what fire season is, there really isn't a fire season now anymore. And so somebody like Matt, who might be gone for weeks at a time, leaves all that work to the wives or significant others back home. And what something struck me that really rings true for us is Colleen and I, we both were athletes at one point. You guys were athletes at one point. So I'm sure your kids are, have gotten those sort of genes from you guys. And now where you're stuck inside for so much, it has to just drive you guys insane.
Yes. Yeah. They're very physically active and driven in that way. I joke all the time that I couldn't get my kids to sit down and watch a whole movie if I bribed them with ice cream on the couch. Like, they just don't, that's not, in their genetics. And they need to run and play, and they're super social, and all of that was eliminated. So it makes it very challenging. We got creative in ways, but with how long this has gone on, by the end of it, you're like, we're going to go for another walk to an empty park and see no one else and play on no structures. Like, Mom, we're over this.
Yeah, for sure. Well, one thing I'm hearing is if you have kids that can't sit and watch a movie while eating ice cream, they have no chance of becoming firefighters. So, but that's okay. Anyway, we'll dig some more into that in your guys' first alarm, I'm sure. You guys ready to get that thing going?
Yeah.
Yeah, you bet.
All right, cool. Here we go. So, Matt, as you will know, a first alarm assignment on the San Diego Fire Department consists of 4 engines and a truck. But here at the Firehouse, I'll ask you to both 4 questions and 1 piece of advice. Sound good?
That sounds great.
Okay, cool. So as you do know, Matt, when you are first in on a fire, you have to give us a size up, and that will be who you are, where you guys work, and how long you've been doing it.
Yeah, I'm Matt Thoma. I grew up locally here in San Diego, and now we reside in Oceanside. first and foremost, you know, when you talk about a job, my job, and you know the goals we set for our family is that I'm a father first, and we're father to 2 young girls and husband to Jessica, and that's my main job. My second career, and as I've grown in this firefighting career, we've tried to put more importance on being at home, but my second career is being a firefighter. And I've worked for City of San Diego Fire Rescue now for going on 8 years. I just promoted about a week ago to engineer. So the family has been going through that for about the past 6 months. And so, you know, like constantly trying to move forward in this career. And like we were talking about in the pandemic, it's been interesting being in that process because I have 2 different worlds of, you know, trying to promote in the fire world and, you know, be as big of a help as I can at home. So
Yeah,
that's who I am.
Yeah, and anybody listening to this that is involved in the fire service will know clearly that when you're going through a promotional process, when you're going through the fire academy, when you're doing any of those things, it's not just you going through it, it's everybody. So it's your significant other, it's your kids, it's your family. We are all grinding through this thing together, and we don't get to get those promotions or get through the academy or any of that other stuff without the support system behind us. And I think I have this right. You guys will correct me if I'm wrong. Jess, did you come to family night in Matt's academy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had that right. Yeah, I was a driver in your academy. I don't know if you remember that or not, but
Yeah.
it's just cool seeing your progression through the fire service, man. I'm proud of you for all the hard work that you've done. I'm proud of you for being promoted. And I'm sure there's nothing but great things ahead of you. You said you guys are from San Diego, but living in Oceanside. So people that are listening to this from outside this area, can you just touch on where Oceanside is real quick?
Yeah, you bet. Oceanside is in North County, San Diego. To the north of us is Orange County, and we're about 2 minutes drive from the beach, but it's definitely more of a family-friendly neighborhood, cheaper on the socioeconomic scale. And we obviously came up here because we wanted to find a neighborhood that was good for having children. So it's a good spot with a firefighter's salary to find a cheaper home.
And you say cheaper, can you just, and you don't have to share specifics, but can you just give a ballpark on what the cost of a single family house would be in Oceanside? Because people in the Midwest or in the South probably gonna get their heads blown off with this.
Yeah, a single family home, and that's part of our story is a single family home in Oceanside right now is going in this neighborhood for around 700,000 to 800,000. And when we bought this home 3 years ago, we couldn't even come close to that. We bought it for around 500,000. So obviously it varies on the scale, but you know, as we talk about our progression, finances, and what we want to do moving forward as a family, in a sense, we feel very lucky because we wouldn't even be able to touch the neighborhood that we're living in now. And that's simply because I think at a point we sacrificed and bought this home. And but yeah, with the prices exploding these last couple of years, we're lucky to be where we're at right now.
Yeah, for sure. That equity buildup is something that it's nice, but it's on paper, right? I mean, unless you take out money from the house or something, you don't really feel it. But you wouldn't be able to afford that same house that you're in today. It's because of the amount of inflation that we've seen throughout this, really this whole region, and in many ways throughout the whole country. So I heard about what you have been up to, Matt. What about you, Jess? How have you been able to balance like work and life?
Every day is different. I started my at-home business. It'll be 2 years in January. And before that, I was just a stay-at-home mom. So it's a whole another level dynamic into my world at home. But kind of like Matt, our priorities are family first and the kids, and my business kind of comes second. But for me, being able to work on my schedule and my terms makes it happen. And even when I'm home days at a time with the girls, I'm able to squeeze it in at nap time. I wake up sometimes earlier than they do. I'll work at night. And frankly, there's times where I say, hey, time to go play. I need some time to myself. And I have such a passion for what I do that It allows me kind of that escape for an hour to work on something that I'm passionate about and that empowers me, and to kind of pour my energy into that when I need to just check out from being a mom all day, and especially during this year with the pandemic and not being able to leave, to be able to like mentally go somewhere else during the day, has been a saving grace. Sometimes you think, taking something else on makes it a heavier plate, but really when you have like the proper outlet, I think it helps balance the rest of your life. I don't feel trapped all the time at home, which has been helpful. But with that said, there's some days when the kids are like, yeah, I'm not listening, I'm not giving you that time, and they go crazy, and it's just being able to be flexible and know that that's just part of it. And on those days, you just do what you got to do and survive.
No, for sure. But like that's sort of freedom, right? You have the freedom to make your own schedule. You have, while it is very challenging and you have home responsibilities, you can go work on work while the kids are off playing or hopefully eventually back to school. Can you just elaborate on what it is that you are doing at home?
So
work at home?
I'm a virtual health and fitness coach. I'm a beach body coach for anyone that's familiar with that. And I've been doing the programs for over 2 years now. I was what we call a challenger. So I adopted the programs at home. Reese was 9 months old, our youngest. My other was 2. And Matt was gone all the time. And I just was stuck. I'm an athlete. I played soccer. I've been active my whole life. And then I had my 2 kids and I became a mom. And it's so easy to get stuck and immersed in being a mom and that being your only identity. And I just didn't find a way to have something for myself, and not only just to be healthy and fit, but just literally to have something that was about me and not about anyone else. And I found some girl on Instagram that caught my attention. I didn't know her, signed up for these programs, did it for 4 months, and it changed me. I did it in my living room with a baby crawling on the floor, a 2-year-old. It was chaos. And I figured it out, and it gave me something for myself. And I was so passionate about it that I then adopted it as a business and learned that there was an opportunity for me to share my experience with other people and hopefully help some other women the way it had helped me. And I've been doing that now for almost 2 years, and I'm passionate about it. It's an online business, which is so unique. I was not a social media person at all. I didn't have Facebook. Instagram scared me. I didn't even spend that much time on it. Didn't know how it worked, none of that, but I was passionate about what I was doing. So I'm a pretty authentic person, and I'm okay being vulnerable. So I was like, what is there to lose? I'll share what I've got and see if anyone wants to try it also. So that's what I've been doing for 2 years.
It's so cool. That is the thing about figuring out how to solve a problem. That is such a core tenet of the fire service, man. That is like just exactly what we do. There are problems that we don't create, but we are responsible for figuring out how to fix them. And that sounds to me like exactly what you did there. And not only did you do it as a way to have something for yourself, right? You're not responsible for anybody else but yourself, but then you parlayed that thing into an online business, which is just outstanding. That's like a home run. I can imagine that's extremely challenging. It's extremely demanding of your guys' time. I can imagine there are days when Matt gets home from the station where it's like 2 ships in the night. Like, here, take the girls. I got work to do, and Matt's been up all night, and you figure out a way to make it happen. Colleen and I had the exact same scenario going on where I would get home from being up all night, and she had to run out the door to go to work. And while you can beat yourself up over that, like, our kids aren't getting exactly what they need. It's like, well, no, because when you have that outlet, when you have something that you're doing for yourself, and it can be a way to help supplement income. It can be a creative outlet. It can be a way of just being more healthy. You become a better parent when it is time to be the parent.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
awesome.
Completely.
So what does a successful day look like in the Thoma household?
Go ahead.
I think a successful day for us, because we do want to be family first oriented, is obviously having me a day off. Like you talked about, a lot of our days in between shifts, you can come and be tired, but a good day with us, because we talked about earlier, we have Charlotte who's 4 and Reese is 2. And we talked about those athletic genes, but that also comes with what we've tried to characterize their personalities as very high spirited. And that's not only athletic, but emotional spirit too. And, you know, we've set out with having 2 girls of wanting to raise strong girls, especially in a sometimes crazy world. So a lot of that is balancing that emotional and physical raising of these children. And that's getting out. And like we said, during the pandemic, staying home, and they almost become, you know, like caged up. And so we like to get them out. So I think a good day for us would be me getting home, us going out. We go to a lot of the parks around here, and then a big part is going to the beach, right? Getting the girls out.
Yeah.
What else?
We talked about this earlier, and I think it sounds so boring what a good day in our life is, but with the routine kind of we've established, it's some activity with the girls, which is the park or the beach, something physical for them to do and just to be outdoors. You're gonna go to the park? Yeah, she heard park.
Nice.
Get outside with them, but also I think because of my business, because of his job, getting a workout in the day, it helps level us, and I think we're both better parents, and we try and do that together. But with his schedule, generally he'll do one and I'll do one another time from our home. It doesn't take a ton of time, but that makes us kind of relieve that stress that comes with, you know, being a mom. Can you ask us?
I think with Jesse's business too, the workout part of it is not just for her. And it's been interesting when we come home. For the first 5 years of my career, I thought, you know, I worked out at work, and then I come home, I'm tired, I want to sit on the couch, I want to take a nap. You know, I saw being at home as my time to just rest, but you can't rest and lay on the couch when you have 2 toddlers at home. Where we've had that paradigm shift is doing Jesse's at-home workouts. We can go right in our garage, do them together. So there's us connecting, getting to work out and sharing a common goal. And I had the wrong mindset that I was just at home was when I would come home and just relax and not do any physical activity. And I think that wasn't what do I say?
Backwards.
It's backwards in the sense that if we get a workout in the morning, you know, the rest of the day goes a lot smoother. I get a lot less irritated with the girls, and we've already had our time together where we can, you know, interact and get a workout in, which has been really changing. A good shift for us.
And that's not by accident. That's not by accident. Like that, the part about getting a workout in, it might seem like sort of an insignificant thing, but there's so much research about how important that is to relieve stress, you know. And if you guys are doing that together, and it's something you guys can connect on a personal level, and then add the stress relief on top of that, it's not surprising why that's become part of your guys' routine. And then the part about what a successful day looks like is getting the girls outside and going to the beach and just hanging out. Like it's the KISS principle, right? Keep it super simple. That's a success by any measure. What about, you know, fast forwarding a few years, what does successful retirement look for you guys?
I'm going to hand that to you.
Well, here in the next couple months, we're adding a 3rd child. So that brings on new adventures in the parenting realm and in the, you know, financial success realm. It's interesting with us because we're talking about my career as a firefighter and then Jesse building a business. For the first few years of their lives, it's been our plan and how we try to set it up, our financial future, is that we look at this as kind of like our grind mode, where I have my retirement system for the fire department. Obviously, in a perfect world, we'd set aside a lot of savings. We're kind of just getting through. We don't live an extravagant lifestyle. Like we said, our goals are spending time and experiences for our daughters, but we haven't set up a ton of retirement accounts. We look at Jesse's business as growing as it has over these last couple of years, and we see that as the outlet of our financial freedom in the future, because she can add on to what our base of what we already have in a financial sense. With that being said, we've shifted our priorities too, in that early on in my firefighting career, we saw overtime working for the fire department as our extra spending money and our saving money for as we move forward. Although that worked well because there's been a ton of overtime throughout, my short career with the fire department. It didn't create a good work-life balance with our priorities of me spending time at home, because it was easy for us to say, hey, I'll just work more overtime. And I did that for actually up until the pandemic, where we had a shift in, hey, this is not working because I've been gone so much that as our girls get older, I felt like it really was kind of hurting the relationship I had with the girls. And consequently, the pandemic actually helped Jesse's business a lot because people were staying home more. And therefore, her business grew because people wanted to work out at home. That also allowed me to stay home a lot more. And for the first, 5 months of the pandemic, we made a conscious decision for me not to sign up for any overtime, only work the shifts that I was forced to work. And, we saw my relationship and duties at home grow in a way that we wanted to, which created better connections with our children. And as we go forward, we're looking at, college accounts for the girls. And, today we talked about saving for weddings if we have a third girl, but we see our home right now is one of our biggest investments and the investment vehicles we have with the fire department.
Yeah. And I mean, our retirement is still living simply. I think we want to travel because that's not something that we did a lot of. I think trying to get into the fire department for him, we spent a lot of years. Oh, thank you. Good job. Oh, good. Thanks. That we spent so much time for him trying to get hired with the department. Glass, Miss Abby. That we didn't do a lot of traveling. We were so committed to him finding his dream job. And so that's what retirement looks like for us, is being able to travel, living in whatever home, we raise our family in, no big plans. The fire department retirement plan. I've had a Roth IRA though, since I graduated college, since I was 21. So that's, another form of investment that I still invest in every month. It's just something we do monthly and don't think about. And then, yeah, you gotta ask Miss Abby, honey. Thank you.
Yeah, no, chaos. And what I'm hearing, you guys, is you're being intentional. Like, you are putting things away. Matt, you're contributing to the 401A like you should do. Jessica, you got the Roth, and you have all the equity build up in the house, and you continue living life simply with your priorities straight. I mean, that sounds like successful retirement to me. I'm sure things haven't always been as rosy as they appear from somebody on the outside looking in. It looks to me like you guys are like right on the right track. I'm sure it hasn't always been that way. I'm sure you guys have made mistakes in the past, like we all have. Is there one that stands out as one that's like a favorite mistakes, one that maybe you really learned from and grew from, or one that you're willing to share with us so maybe we don't make those same ones?
Yeah, Sissy found it. Yeah, we talked about that earlier, kind of our road to getting to where we're at right now. And I think the biggest transition that we experienced as a family, which at first was just the two of us, was when we had kids. We were very intentional. When he got hired with the fire department and we knew we wanted to start a family, I've always been very intentional about having a job that would allow me flexibility with his schedule. We knew that we wanted family time. So when that came to fruition and we had Charlie, we got stuck in what I would imagine so many families deal with when kids come into the picture, and being what I was described as a homemaker. Is I took on the responsibility of mom, house, finances, and his job was fire. And it becomes an imbalance. And that is, I think, where we struggled. And so he was constantly, I was stuck at home. I was exhausted. I didn't want to cook anymore, so I'd eat out. Well, now I'm eating out, so he's got to work more. So now he's stuck at work and he's working overtime. Well, I'm just drowning back here. And that's what he was referring to earlier this year, where we just said enough. We have to reevaluate. And if we lose the home, which we're never at risk to do that, but if we do, we do, right? Our family needs to be our priority. Finances need to take a back seat. and we need to balance it more, because I took on everything, because when they're, when you guys are gone all the time and the girls are used to mom putting them to bed, and then you come home and there's kind of that disrupt, and they're like, wait, dad's putting me to bed, and they get upset. I would just step in and say, I'm doing it. It's okay. I'll handle it. But then I'm doing bedtime every single night. And now with 3 on the way, it doesn't work. So it takes some time to level back out. But that's, I think, probably the biggest mistake we made, of just, you deal with fire, I'll manage everything else. It's too much to manage. So we're splitting the roles more.
Yeah, and you learn as a father, like anything we learn, say in the fire service, you build skills, right? I think it parallels perfectly to, no one starts out perfect when they're raising a family. Lord knows I didn't know what to do. But now that we have had 1, 2, and now a third, you try to, it's almost like, I was thinking like an after action review, right? After each kid, like, all right, what did we do right here? What did we do wrong here? And then Jesse and I, our main goal as a family, but more in between us, is being open with that communication so that we can get better. And, from a father's point of view, one of my biggest things was, when we started out with the first kid, I thought my whole job is just to work and work overtime and special assignments. And that's where I was going to help the family the most. Now it helped because, in a sense, we needed that financial income to support the family, but it wasn't aligned with our priorities of me being there as much as I could for those girls, in their day-to-day life. And so that's, as we move forward in raising our family, I think that's our goals and what we want to move forward, that I'm just not working overtime and that I'm more present at home.
God, I think so many of us fall into that exact same trap. And I'm as guilty as anybody else, man, where I felt like it was my job to be the breadwinner, to provide for the family. And Colleen was trying to manage her career too. It just becomes so much to deal with. And guys, firefighters listening to this, you really do need to reassess and reconnect, because what we're expecting the significant others to do at home is an incredible amount of work. And I can tell you this, guys, since being straight days down at the academy now, where I'm home every night, we went through that exact same thing, where I would be home now, and so I would want to help. I would want to help with dinner. I would want to help with bedtime or whatever, and not recognizing that they already had the routine, right? They already had it figured out, and I was trying to like jump in on that, and it made things awful. And so we also had to take a step back and just like kind of figure it out all over again. And it's not easy, but I think we're all trying to navigate that one. And it sounds like to me, you guys recognized it was a problem and got on the same page and are now, moving in the right direction.
It's definitely still a work in progress.
Yeah, for sure. No. And honestly, you might not ever get to a point where it's perfect. And I don't even think the goal should be perfection, right? It's just progress. Your goal should always be progress, not perfection. You're never going to be the perfect parent, perfect spouse or significant other. You're just trying to be a little bit better today than you were yesterday.
Exactly.
I think I know what I want to ask you guys next. And I think I know what you might say, but what would be the best investment that you ever made, whether it's a financial investment, whether it's an investment in each other or what would be the best investment you guys ever made?
See, we differ on that, because I know what I'm going to say. I think the best financial investment we've made is me buying a Prius. And it's not that, it's obviously, humorous, but we joke about that because, like you said, the obvious answer we think is our house right now. And like I said, we were lucky to get in the time we did. We were lucky. And in the sense that I remember when we bought our first condo, and we bought that about 6 years ago, that I drug my feet for like 3 months and I couldn't sleep at night because we couldn't, I thought about making mortgage payments, and thank God we have some mentors that have been, bought homes in the past that told us, all the old cliches about how you'll find a way to make your payment. And I don't see that as a good answer, because I'm more, I think, logical, or yeah, I'd like to think more logical when you look at numbers and what we're bringing home as firefighters. What in my mind, couldn't make that payment, but we, thank God we talked to other people and cooler heads prevailed and we got that property, and then selling that allowed us to get this house. And long term, we see that as one of our, best investments. I joke with the Prius because as a firefighter, and especially with two girls at home, no other guys here, and now I'm buying a Prius. About every day I drive into the fire station. That's the topic of conversation for a while. But in all reality, it has been a good investment because I commute about 50 miles into work. The car before that I had was a nice car, and it took premium gas. And, now I'm getting 55 miles a gallon. So it pays for itself. But yeah, we joke about it a lot.
Well, I have to admit, man, that was not what I expected you to say, but I get it, man. That sounds like a good one. What about you, Jessica?
Yeah, I would agree. For the record, the girls call it daddy's race car. Okay. So it's just a matter of the lens you look at it through.
Amen.
Yeah, the firefighters may view it differently, but here at home, we think it's pretty cool. Yeah, definitely our condo. So our house we own now only was made possible because of the condo we purchased, which was a total leap of faith. We didn't get any help. We didn't have all this excess money. We had the guidance of our parents, luckily, who really encouraged us to make that investment. And I remember we went to lunch with his uncles, his mom, his dad. He was a hot mess. I'll make it happen. Whatever it is, we'll figure it out. He's, like you said, more conservative and not sleeping, and he was a disaster. So I was the push behind the decision for sure. And what we did to get the 3.5% down is we withdrew from my Roth IRA because there's no penalty when you're using it for a down payment. So we put down very little on a very small condo that we could afford, that we loved, but that made us a lot of money in a year and a half. And had we not, we were paying the same amount in our mortgage as we would have with rent anyways. It's just this fear of a mortgage and losing your home. And we had to pay PMI for the condo and all of that. We just, we bit the bullet and did it. And that is why we're in a home now. That is why we have the savings, and just to see it, the inflation that it has had the last couple of years is a huge safety net. And like we said earlier, in January of this year, we weren't at risk of losing the home, but we said, like, if we lose the home, we lose the home. It is what it is, but it's so nice to see that, and like to sleep at night knowing that we have this. And it all came from taking kind of a leap of faith and having a little belief in ourselves that we would figure it out.
Oh, that's awesome. And God, I'm hearing that coming through a lot, is the belief in each other, right? I thought you guys were, to be honest, I thought you guys were going to say the investment in each other and recognizing how important family is, because that is so evident when I'm hearing you guys talk, that the trust that you guys have, knowing that we might not get this perfectly right, but because I have you in my corner and you have me in yours, we're going to figure this out. And that's just such a strong place to be operating from, and it's not always easy. I'm sure there's been tough times. There's been tough times here, more than I could ever count, but knowing that she is in my corner fully, and she knows that I'm in hers completely, is a really powerful thing. And it gives you that confidence that you'll be able to figure things out. I love that. Looking back, guys, knowing what you do now, what would be one piece of advice you'd give your newlywed selves?
Do I answer? I have an answer.
Go ahead.
As newlyweds, I kind of touched on this earlier. So when we got married in July of 2012, when we went to Mexico he was in the interview process for SDFD. We went to Mexico. We had no access to email unless we were on Wi-Fi or whatever. And we were actually at an airport in Arizona flying back when he got the email that he had made the interview portion of SDFD. So when we got married, it was like headfirst into, he started the academy that October. I think at that point, something that I take pride in, and something that I would recommend other families do as well, is we really took the time, I think even before we got married, of course, but to get to know each other and what our goals were in big picture. And we knew that fire was a huge part of that, and that leads to the lifestyle that fire leads to. And because of that, we made the conscious decision at that point, even without kids, to know that I needed to find something different to accommodate the fire schedule so that we could have the life that we wanted. I was working in a corporate job. I made more money than he did, and I could have stuck with it. I was good at it. I liked it, but instead I reevaluated. I quit. I went to aesthetics school for 6 months. I drove out to Poway every day. I was, 25, 26, and most of the girls were 18. Like, it was so outside the box, but I was like, this will give me the opportunity to have my own business, to work my own hours, so we can work it around your schedule. And in retrospect, it was a little crazy. I still actually love it and love doing it, but because we had the foresight, it got us on the path to where we're at now. And we take a lot of pride in our home life, and that we do have so much time together. And even with my job now, it still takes second place to home life. So we had 3 hours with no kids today, and I had work I needed to do, but we went and walked the beach instead because he's been working all week. And like, we have the flexibility to do that. And that started 8 years ago when we had these discussions about what we wanted our future to look like. And that's what I would suggest and recommend anyone do when fire is part of your lives. Evaluate it and figure out, you're never going to know what the future brings, but what is your goal to try and at least get you on the path in that direction, and learn from your mistakes until you get there.
Matt, good luck trying to top that one, bud.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I have a lot of things when you asked that question about what I would have told myself. Say, we've been together for going on 10, 11 years now, dating and married. And, you know, a lot of this is just personal stuff, but a part of it is not sweating the small stuff. And it sounds so cliche, but we sit around a morning meeting, and a big part of the fire service is listening to mentors, right? I think having mentors that you trust is a huge part of the maturation process, not only as a firefighter, but as a man and as a father and a husband. But the funny part is, and I love this about the fire service, but I also think it's something I take into consideration, is there's a lot of people out there sitting around the morning meeting, the table, or the training ground that don't know what they're talking about, but love to spew off information. And there's a big difference there between a mentor and deciphering when you're early on in the job, listening to people and not taking bad advice. And I think with getting older in the career and also in my personal life, it's funny because there's a lot of people out there that talk negatively, not about the fire service, but also about how to raise a family and the job as a whole. And we've realized after these 8 years that I love being a firefighter, and I love working for the city of San Diego. But there's a lot of times out there, like I said, when we were going to buy a house, that people told me like old stories about losing their homes, and hey, overtime is going away, like you have to work as much as you can, and you know, a number of other stories that I think it's human nature that, and especially for myself, who's a little more anxious and conservative, to believe those stories. And if I would have told myself 8 years ago and had a sit down talk with the Matt 8 years ago, I would have told him, you know, to more believe in yourself and find those mentors in the fire service and out of the fire service that you can really trust, that you have a bond with, and that you listen to, and don't listen to all the detractors that sometimes are more on the negative spectrum, because you know, like anything in life, it's not worth listening to people that are negative. So
yeah, God, I love that. And it is, man, you're right. It is sometimes hard to filter out the signal from the noise, because, you know, and I think of it in terms of also like what you see on TV or on the internet or social media or whatever. Like, you're only seeing the best of people and that sort of stuff. Whereas like what I'm from you guys sharing your story today, some of it's raw, some of it is struggle, some of it's hard, and that's the case for everyone. And that communication part is really key, and finding the right people to have in your corner, like a mentor or your significant other, is really, really important. And yeah, I think with that, you guys, we got knocked down on your first alarm.
awesome.
So if people are looking to learn more about you, either as a couple or as individuals, or as if they want to learn more, if we want to learn about how to get a beach body, I'm not calling Matt, I'm calling Jess. How do I find you? Track you down.
Yeah, very important. Via Instagram, that's where I run my entire business. It's at fit_family_fire. And even if you're not looking for Beachbody, I do my best to share our journey as a fire family and authentically, which isn't always pretty. And sometimes I post stuff that he questions me about, because it's just the truth of being a spouse of a firefighter, because we have a voice too, and we are very much a part of this job and career. So it's important for us to connect. I connect with a ton of other firewives, and I love doing that. And I share, being a mom, and also these programs that have given me life at home as a mom and still allow me, and they give me ambition. This business gives me, it allows us to dream. And that is so huge for us as well, that it's not just a fire family and the income he brings in his 401k, but this business allows us the opportunity to dream for something bigger. And that feels good, and it's doing something good to help other people. And that's my only goal.
That is so good, Jess. That is amazing. I will link to Fit Family Fire in the show notes. Matt, if somebody's going to try to track you down, where can they find you?
You can find me through Jessica's Instagram. No,
I tag him.
I have an Instagram myself that I'm not active on. A big thing in the fire services, I want to be approachable as I move forward in my career, and I've been trying to foster this relationship with other people. Like I said, I found mentors when I was young in the fire service, and I think we have a special bond that we share so much time together. As we know in the firehouse, it's not always training and joking around, but there's a lot of valuable time that we can learn from people that, some of us didn't have the most positive figures in our life in the past growing up. And I think the firehouse is great for that, because we have men and women that are older than us that we can learn from. And I have been lucky to find those people, and whether that's, talking with on the job or reaching out to them, even when we're not at work. I have been lucky to find people that I connected with, and I want to be that person to younger people on the job, especially when we're talking here about raising a family, being a good father, and being a good husband, because that's, was paramount to me in my life. So I don't know if I'm that person yet, but I'd like to think as we move forward that I want to be that person to others. And there's a number of avenues. I'm a part of that peer support team that's with San Diego Fire. And I think that's a big way that I've been able to connect with people, because whether it's finances, firefighting, raising children, or being a husband, we learn best from mentors who have sometimes gone through hard times in the past. And I don't have many of the answers, but I've learned things that have worked for me, worked for my wife, and worked for my family. And I'd like to pass those on. I think that's the only way of us learning and getting better as a whole. So I'd like to, I'm always open into talking with other people if they resonate with what Jessica and I are saying.
Awesome. I appreciate that, man. And we have a responsibility. It's not only a desire, which is commendable. We have a responsibility to help bring up the next generation and to pay forward all the mentorship that you got, all the mentorship that I got, to pass it down to the next group. And that just is a perfect way to wrap things up today, guys. So I want to thank you for your openness, your honesty, and love seeing what you guys are up to. And I can imagine people reaching out, trying to get in touch with you. So thanks again, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. I hope they reach out too. I love listening to your podcast, and I think this is a great way for us to learn. And like I said, with the mentorship part, what a great format for people to talk about finance. And then, with some of us average Joes raising the family, but it's big, so we appreciate being on here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Can't thank you guys enough. And I look forward to following your guys' journey, and wish you guys nothing but the best.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right. Thanks again to Matt and Jessica for meeting me here in the bullpen today. Their connection to each other came through so clearly, and their why for traveling down the path that they're on right now is just so powerful. I have no doubt they're going to continue to be successful as they welcome baby number 3 into this world. If you'd like to learn more about Matt, you can find him on his email at mwtoma@gmail.com. That's the letter mwtoma, THOMA @gmail.com. If you'd like to learn more about Jessica, you can find her on Instagram at fit_family_fire. And if you'd like to learn more about us, we're on Facebook at The FIREhouse. That's f.i.r.e.house. On Instagram, the _fire_house. On LinkedIn, The FIREhouse Investors. Or any place you listen to podcasts. If you learned something today and you'd like to hear more, please like, share, and subscribe. But no matter what you do, take this information, go out there, and get some. Stay snap.